But first, the on-off march on Moscow by Wagner Group mercenaries is just the latest twist in the Ukraine war, gravely threatening the peace and stability of the whole world. The fact that a mercenary private army, largely comprised of hardened criminals, was doing so much of the Russian fighting always said something about the quality and commitment of the Russian army itself. The fact that the mercenary leader, Yevgeny Prigozhin, Putin's butler as he once was, had been so savagely and publicly critical of the conduct of the war, especially the Defence Minister Sergei Shoigu and the Army Chief Valery Gerasimov, meant the war was hardly going well. And the fact that the Wagner army was able to seize a city of over 1 million people in Rostov without a shot being fired, and then within 24 hours advance hundreds of kilometres to within a couple of hours' drive of Moscow, in the process reportedly shooting down 7 Russian aircraft, shows just how shambolic things are inside Russia itself. The apparent coup then fizzled out, almost as mysteriously as it began, with Prigozhin reportedly freed of treason charges and taking refuge with Putin ally, the Belarusian dictator Alexander Lukashenko, and the mutinous Wagner soldiers likewise supposedly forgiven and supposedly now being reintegrated into the Russian army. Now, given Putin's record of killing opponents, it's hard to see that this is the end of the matter. Here is the former US intelligence chief James Clapper, who is as suspicious as I am.
Maybe I spent too much time in intelligence, but this whole thing, this deal to me is kind of fishy. That all of a sudden, Prigozhin stopped, turned left or turned back, and then he's going to agree to go of all places, Belarus, which is essentially, from a security standpoint, an extension of Russia. This is an unanswered question, obviously, and hopefully as we learn more, we'll find out just what happened. But on its face, it's a little fishy to me.
Now, I've met Clapper. There's no better analyst. I suspect there's a lot in what he has said. So there are 2 takeouts here. First, Putin's war in Ukraine is not going well. And second, Putin's domestic position's been gravely weakened. But before any of us cheer this latest setback for a genocidal dictator, remember that cornered animals are often at their most dangerous. Dictators who lose usually die, and a weakened Putin may be more inclined to lash out using his one trump card, and that is of nuclear weapons. Of course, it's more important than ever that free countries do whatever they can to help Ukraine defeat this monstrous invasion, which is why I suspect I'm not the only one scratching my head today and pretty disappointed with the government's announcement. The Prime Minister made a big noise today. It all sounded good, $110 million to support Ukraine. But it's money taken out of the defence budget. It's not new funding. It includes only a mere $10 million for humanitarian aid. And Labor has rejected Zelensky's plea for access to our Hawkeye armoured vehicles. Vehicles we don't use, we won't use, yet Ukraine is desperate for them, but can't have them. Now, what the events of the weekend prove is that this war is on a knife edge. It's at a very precarious point, and a full court press by Ukraine, with the free world helping them, has to happen so the war can be won in coming months. The big risk is that a cornered Putin will try and claw back ground he's lost using part of his massive nuclear arsenal. Now, no one would want to start World War III, and that's essentially what a nuclear response from NATO would mean. But if he did go down the nuclear path, there would have to be a strong conventional counterstrike by NATO to demonstrate that small countries can't just be swallowed up by big ones, and nuclear powers can't just intimidate everyone else into surrender. Now, these are grave times, and they're also highly unpredictable. I don't think we really have a handle on what's happening in Russia at the moment, other than to say we have to be prepared for things to get worse before they get better.